Our journey around Dublin Bay begins at Howth Head and travels along the coast towards Sutton. The Bailey Lighthouse marks the entrance to Dublin Bay. The current lighthouse dates to 1814 and replaces an earlier one that was built in 1667. The headland it's built on is called Dungriffin or Crimpton's Fort. Crimpton was a high king who launched raids in Roman-occupied Britain from the fort here. The Bailey Lighthouse was the last of Ireland's lighthouses to be automated in 1997. There are many coves and swimming areas here.
Yeah, it's freezing alright.
Steps were cut into the cliffs by the Jemison family who lived at Sutton Castle. Others prefer to find their own paths.
Yeah, I love up here. I like going swimming during the summer.
Fabulous up here, you can see right across Dublin Bay.
At Sutton we see our first Martello Tower. This is part of a coastal defence network built between 1804 and 1805. The terrain levels out as we travel towards the Bull Island, which is a major leisure area for Dublin City.
Now we are in Pure Magic headquarters. My name is Catherine and we've been here for the last a bit more than 8 years in Dublin. So we run the activities on Dublin Beach, mainly kitesurfing and stand-up paddleboarding. Kitesurfing was like the most growing water sport in the last few years, which is now also like being competed by paddleboarding. So you can see on Dublin Beach in the windy days like many kites in the air, like different colors. Lots of people, lots of new members, girls, boys.
The bathing shelters at Dollymount were built in the mid-1930s and are considered to be fine examples of Art Deco architecture. The dunes at Bull Island were used to train soldiers during the First World War. Clontarf baths and tea rooms were built in 1864 and offered heated seawater bathing. There were similar bathing areas at Merrion, Blackrock and Dunleary, all of which are now derelict.
We're collecting field crab. At a certain stage of their life, crab is rather unique insofar as that it can regrow its limbs, it can also regrow its lungs.
We continue along the coast and enter Dublin Port. 50% of Ireland's exports pass through here, totaling €35 billion in trade. There are also bulk fuel storage depots here. Some 1.7 million passengers pass through the port each year, and there are 17 daily sailings between Ireland and the UK.
We ship huge amounts of freight through Dublin Port, and with the opening of the tunnel, we now have access to Ireland's motorway network.
Dublin Port provides employment to over 4,000 people. Most of the goods that pass through the port are containerised freight, and they continue their journey around the country by road. The port once began at the customs house. The quays were lined with cranes. Ships came all the way up the Liffey. Ships were offloaded manually. Beyond the quays were warehouses and dockers' homes. This has all changed as the port has moved onto reclaimed land in Dublin Bay. The warehouses have now been replaced by modern offices and apartment blocks. The quays were the last place many emigrants saw before departing, as depicted by this sculpture designed by Rowan Gillespie. The famine ship, the Jeannie Johnson, is also a poignant reminder of these times. The South Bull Wall was completed in 1795 and was the world's longest seawall of its time. However, it did not stop Dublin Port silting up as was intended. After a survey of Dublin Bay by the famous Captain Blythe of Mutiny on the Bounty fame, the North Bull Wall was constructed, being completed in 1825. The displaced silt and sand formed the Bull Island.
But a man must be blind to make up his mind to go to sea once more. I spent the night with Angeline to
The two chimneys of the Poolbeg Power Station date to 1970 and are no longer in use. The lighthouse dates to 1820.
And as I walked the streets about, the whores they all did pour. There goes Jack Sprat.
Ireland's first railway opened in 1834 between Westland Row and Kingstown. The 9-kilometre line was the world's first suburban line. Major embankments had to be built, and there was considerable reshaping of the coastline as a result. It was a great success, and over 350,000 people used it within its first 6 months of operation. Seapoint was the scene of a major maritime disaster in 1807, with the sinking of 2 ships on one night, the Prince of Wales and the Rochdale.
He said last time you was paid off with me, you've got no score. But I'll give you a chance and I'll take your advance and I'll send you to sea once more.
This led to the construction of Dunleary Harbour as a port of refuge for Dublin Bay.
Just had to come out there in the spring there, and it's 6 degrees, and all the week there is after being 3 Celsius, and it's it's fabulous the water like this time of the year.
We continue along the coast and we reach Dunleary Harbour. Dunleary Harbour is home to the HSS fast ferry service to Holyhead. There is a small fishing port here and there are fresh fish available daily.
top Dublin Bay. There's plaice, cod, ray.
Did somebody mention fish? Was renamed Kingstown after the visit of King George IV in 1821. Queen Victoria was here in 1900. And so that completes our journey around Dublin Bay. As well as being an important trade link, it is also a lovely amenity to be enjoyed by all.